Welcome to Deep Thought. Defend against mental attacks. I'm going to tell you something now. And, I got to show a little bit of Rom's dark side. Hey, we all got one, and I wasn't always that good a person. You know? Of course, I have some detractors say I'm still not, but hey, whatever. You know? Let me just say something real quick. You know how I go on tangents. Good and evil is relative. Good and evil is relative. To a hen, that fox coming into the hen house is evil. To a fox going into that hen house, it's good. Think on that. But anyway, you know, one of the things I've observed when I was younger, I said, you know, if you hit somebody in their eye, it hurts them. It might leave a black eye, bruise, you know, some physical pain. They'll heal from it. But if you mess with somebody's head, you got them for a long time, like years. That can mess with them. And I'm going to tell you what, a lot of warfare, indeed, is psychological. Psychological warfare is no joke. Indeed, that's what, I'm going to tell you what. When I see people on line like trolls or people going against each other, content creators going against each other, to me, it's just what I saw in the late 90s and early 2000s on message boards. And that's just psychological warfare. In fact, there was one message board I was on, and it was like, I'll mention the name, blackvoices.com. And the warfare on there was crazy, particularly in the faith and religion section. Now, if anybody happens to hear that and know it and actually remembers it, hey, say something in the comments. And I don't think it'd be in my best idea to tell you what my screen name was. It's not in my best interest. But let's just say I was in the middle of some stuff. And that's one thing dealing with all of that. Psychological warfare is crazy because this is before people could upload pictures good. Definitely before videos. Definitely, you didn't have the same thing of like videos and everything. It was this was barely avatars too. Now that I think about it, yeah, back then we didn't even have avatars. You just had the screen name and everything. And just words and everything. And you had some people a little bit more sophisticated. They could put some animation in their stuff, which there's another story behind that. But everything was mental. Everything was mental. And during that time, I've actually witnessed people have nervous breakdowns. You know, people had to leave. There was a lot of stuff behind that. It was vicious. But the mind, I'm going to tell you what, the mind is the key. Indeed, when you talk about propaganda, negative propaganda, that's a mental thing. When they present, like when the theys in the media present negative images of certain groups, you know, that's a mental thing. When you present them, like if you look at a lot of, I'll use air quotes, entertainment, a lot of that is going against certain groups. You know, that's why you have other groups that defend against it. They fight and they need to. But I'm going to tell you what, that mental attack, because people will try to get in your head because, like I said, physical, you'll heal from it and whatnot. But mental, that can last with you for years. That can last. Somebody can put a time bomb in your head and it just keep going because your mind will start growing on it. It's festering. Indeed, it could even get to the point it becomes you might consciously forget about it, but your subconscious don't forget anything. That's how dangerous it is. So I'm going to tell you what. You have to defend against mental attacks. Now, I'm going to tell you the best way. The best way is you can't help what you hear or you see sometimes. The best way is to know who you are. See, a weakness a lot of people have is they don't know who they are. They're not strong in themselves. Well, they either don't know who they are or they don't have belief in themselves. They have low self-esteem. So someone comes up and say, well, you're ugly or you're not that smart. All of a sudden, they'll start messing with themselves. Indeed, you get that in relationships. You even get that in relationships. You get a lot of emotional abuse. And, it's tough. It is tough. But the best way to defend against it is to know who you are. Know who you are and be strong within yourself. And know the truth about yourself. That's the first thing. You got to be strong within yourself. So that when anybody can say anything, you're like, yeah, whatever. Because people are looking for that trigger. Because I'm going to tell you one of the best things that's happened for me in life. I ain't see it at the time, but I used to be joned on. Well, we use the word Joan, made fun of when I was younger. I told you, grew up in a rough environment and everything. And I wasn't the stylish kid. Had those run over shoes and everything. Got picked on, but I look back at it, I was like, that really toughened my skin. So that when somebody says something now, I'm just like, yeah. And people have said stuff in my presence and wonder why I was like, yeah. I was like, man, you got to do better than that. You got to do better than that. Plus, I had a tough love grandmother. So I said after her, ain't nothing nobody can say to me. But you gotta develop that toughness. You got to develop that toughness. First, you got to work on your self-esteem. And you got to look at yourself in truth. See, one of the ways people use mental attacks to get to you is a lot of people, they don't feel good about themselves anyway, and they'll do or say something that leaves an opening for someone else. You got to make yourself tough to read. You got to be cool. One thing I'll say about myself, and I've had people actually tell me this to my face. They say, Ron, you hard to read. Because they'll say something, and I really just be looking at them. Now, this ain't to say I ain't thinking about what they're saying, but I'm just looking at them because what I'm doing is, well, like I said, it's a little bit more dark side when I was younger. I'm looking for their openings. And I'm like, oh, okay, you said that? Okay. And I'll just sit there and listen to them, and I was like, okay, I'll save and I'll peep stuff, and I'll just save it for the right time, and then I might just say something to them in an innocent tone and watch the fireworks. Yeah, I might not have grown out of that. I'll just put it like that. Yeah. But you got to really be strong against yourself. And one of the things you also got to do is you really have to filter in the information you get. You filter in the information you get. You got to really filter the people who are around you. Sometimes you might have to cut off somebody. Like one of the things, like if you get somebody who like low key be saying some stuff to you, cut them off. Cut them off. The type, how they do. They can do it in person, or they'll especially do it like on social media. They'll say something like good about you, but then they'll slide something in, and they'll just keep doing it till they see the reaction. But sometimes you got to say, you know what? Let me just cut this person off now. And this is don't even worry about the offensive part, because that's one thing I ain't going to get into now. I really could, but I'm not. But I can get into, you want to get away from that, but you got to defend yourself. You got to know who you are. You got to be careful of what information you take in. Like if you're on social media and you notice you visit certain tweets or, whatever they call them on Twitter, if you notice that certain people, they tweet stuff that kind of trigger you, you need to leave it alone. If you notice you feel a certain way after watching certain videos on YouTube or any platform, you got to leave it alone. If you in person and you in certain environments, and certain people are saying or doing something, you got to leave them alone. So it's a combination of making yourself strong, knowing who you are, but also as best as possible, avoiding stuff that could really mess with you. And it's not an easy thing. It's an everyday thing. Like you got to build your self-esteem every day. You got to build your mental strength every day. And then for those times, for those of y'all still going through something, still messing with you, you got to fight it every day. You got to fight it. And the best way to fight it is truth. Because when people say something about you, is it true? A lot of times it's not. A lot of times they make up stuff. So here's the thing. Defend against those mental attacks, because that's what a warfare is. A lot of it's mental. That mental warfare, it can stay with you for life. The physical stuff, you can heal from that. You can heal from everything except death. But the mental stuff, that could take decades. So defend yourself against it, okay? So anyway, that's all I have for today. I'll talk to you later. Peace and blessings.